That's just my
But we're focused on, in fact, you can get to that. I'll actually cover this and then you can get to the conditions. So,
Sure.
Yeah. So this just summarizes our competitive advantage. I think as some of the people were asking, it's 5 things really, right? We do a fully automated delivery of diagnosis, right? And it's listed in probability order, the most likely to the least likely, right? And that's because of our approach. It combines it's not pure AI, it's AI plus these expert clinical systems that we built. Number 2, we're a true general purpose AI, right? So we are not looking for a particular problem. We're trying to identify anything that is wrong when we look at your blood. And whatever, you may come in thinking it's a case of malaria, but it might turn out to be sickle cell disease, or you may come in thinking anemia, but maybe you may have comorbidities of other sorts, right? Number 3, more dependency on proprietary hardware. Number 4, our focus on hematopathology, which again, it's not been particularly well traveled, that road. Most of the digital pathology has been on the anatomical side. Number 5, our AI is completely automated. We can look at these untouched raw images. It automatically determines what are the regions of interest and then picks up the diagnosis from there. Okay? I think you covered this.
Yeah. So everything that we say here, there is a lot behind it. Please come after the half hour. Let's talk about this, especially about the genomics. There are ways that we can mix genomics and molecular techniques with morphology, and that's what we are actually working on. A couple of projects with a couple of big companies. Let me show you a demo so that you get a sense. In many parts of the world, like in most places in the US, you won't see any of this. It's with the API integration. The doctor goes into their system, they request the report, they get the report. They don't know if a human wrote the report or a machine wrote the report. But imagine you are in a place that you don't have the integration, or you want to manually see how things work. So you come to our website, you log in, you have a button there that says upload slide. You can upload your slide and have the AI look at it, give an opinion. But I have some demos here. If you have uploaded your slide before, you can click on it and see a report. Of course, this is demo data. This is not actual patient data. Very importantly, at the top of this, after the patient information, you see sample reliability. It's very critical that it tells you the picture that you provided was it enough to do diagnosis or not. Maybe the picture was blurred. Maybe it wasn't properly stained. Maybe it was too small, too resolution. It gives you quality rate, which is very, very important. There are some cell counts and very interesting stuff. Then the AIs, those good old-fashioned AIs, look at the slide and give you signs. Basically, they say what they saw in the image. They saw blast cells, monoblast cells, smudge cells, and so on and so forth. Based on what we know about the patient and what we saw in this slide, we give you a list of differential and these markers here show how important or dangerous they might be. And at the end, it gives you some follow-up recommendations. It says, based on what I saw, you need to evaluate the patient. This is a pathologist giving instructions to a doctor that's treating the patient, right? It tells you that you need to evaluate the patient, and there are more recommendations. But of course, you might say, convince me of this stuff. Why do you think that? And you have 2 tools here. One is to look at the slide itself. Say, show me the slide and the cells, and this is what the AI has been looking at and making decisions based on. But more importantly, you can see the inside the brain of the system. You can come here and say, this is not just a black box. You told me that the patient has acute leukemia. Why did you say that? If I can't manage my So this column is purple column at the left. DDX stands for differential diagnosis. These are the diseases that we detected. There's a logic column, there's signs and symptoms, and there are inputs. So the system saw a ratio of blast to WC about 40%. That counts as a blast more than 20%, which is a positive sign, and it contributes 3 points to that differential diagnosis. You might say, where did you get this? And we have internal tools. We have project development tool. This is a tool we developed with the language that we developed for our clinicians. Clinicians don't need to know any computer language, writing programs, and understand any of that. They can come here and say, I think this other test also contributes. Like ALT contributes to this disease. They drag it here, they connect it. This is language tool, this is a visual tool, and we have a simulation at the top. You can try it on your own and see how things work. Let me stop here. We can later show you more details. If there are questions.
Okay.
All right, fantastic, gentlemen. Two things from an investor perspective. You ever told me how you make money?
Okay. It's coming out. It's coming out.
Two, having been also on the healthcare side, and I've seen quite a lot of this been played into hospitals. I've actually launched one of these AI in hospital. Didn't work out too well. One was because the doctors didn't want to use it. So how would I convince any doctor to use this? So if it's not in their workflow, it doesn't matter what you said, they don't want to use it. And two, there are two types of AI. One that's augmented, so making one person's job easier. And the second is trying to replace someone else's job. The second part is really, really hard in trying to replace someone else's job. So why would anyone give up their job to go do this?
Good question. It's a lot to unpack there. Okay, so what was the first one? You said, how do you make money? Well, that's coming out. Okay, so that's one right here. No, that one, yeah, revenue model, that's fine. So this two major segments, healthcare providers and biopharma. And in the healthcare provider segment, it's a subscription pay-per-use model, right? So per sample of blood, whether it's the first time they're coming in or whether they're coming for follow-up, whatever it is, it's a pay-per-use. And then the other cool thing here is with the medical device manufacturer and EMR providers, this can be the idea is we get to integrate with the API, then just every time they sell to a provider, right, and they get used, we can get used as well, right? And then on the biopharma side, it's for in the drug development process. These are R&D projects, custom integration projects, supporting translational research or basic research and so on, helping patient stratification decisions, clinical trials, automated recruitment on a large scale, right, where they're trying to find a small targeted sample to get into the trial. And then the last bucket we can actually be used as a companion diagnostic, right? So if the translational research proves out, this can be the new test that supports one of the therapies that they have to figure out who they should give the therapy to, right? So that's the money-making model.
If I may, because we're out of time, there is a reason we selected this very, very limited scope of blood pathology, and let's talk about it after we are out of time, but let's talk about it. I think that answers your question of who would use it, why would they use it.
Yeah, well, on this adoption question, well, what we're trying to do is, this is a component of a hematopathologist's job. trial is starting, but we need. For 2 years, and it's going to cover. It's covering three major things. One is the engineering and development side to develop this to take that up.
So you said that about the two diagnosis. Pretty much, the first thing you said, and the second thing you said is it's going to be an assisting tool to the physician. And I see the sensitivity is a bit low. So any screening test for the sensitivity should be pretty high, and the specificity can be low.
Yeah.
So do you have any plan to improve that? I think I believe that's really important to. I mean, now I see this as a screening tool. I mean, like for two condition, at least you can rule out two condition assisting a pathologist. I'm not a pathologist, but the sensitivity probably
It's
should be much higher.
it's really jumping. So the reason we selected two is that at the moment most labs hire technologists. They train them to detect these two. They detect leukemia, detect malaria, and detect hemolytic diseases. We have customers that they said if we can detect these reliably as well as our technicians, they're going to pay you as a subscription fee. This is, of course, preliminary data. The plan is to gather more data and, of course, get the same level of performance that humans can do. You are, of course, correct.
Yeah. So one thing I wish you all the best, because this is going to be the trend. Okay, no matter what, whether you guys are going to be there or not. I'm not saying that, but I wish you good.
Thank you.
Yeah, the sensitivity point is just.
Yeah.
Just say on your questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
The specificity is a very important indicator, but the sensitivity is related to the, as we expose it to more data, that should get better.
Yeah, for further questions, please reach out to them during networking and dinner time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I request Mr. Sandeep to honor them.
Thank you so much. Sandeep, just speak. We want to
Next vital health.
We just wanted to give you. You want to
So here's a small memento to Mr. Sandeep.
Brilliant.
The seven wounds of Mali Almeida.
Joshua Cohen, Netanya.
The Joshua Cohen, the Netanyas.
Netanya. And Andrea Elliott's Invisible Child. Thank you so much.
You got your work cut out for the next few days. Sandeep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And he's the one who picked the books. Sure.
Our second pitch of the night is related to healthcare as well. Vital Start Health. I'm pleased to introduce Kritika Parameshwaran, an inspiring entrepreneur committed to advancing reproductive and maternity wellness for women and enhance their overall health and well-being. Her company, Vital Start Health, is a leading innovator in using VR technology to provide expectant mothers and new parents with the tools and resources they need to manage their health and wellness. Get ready to join Kritika on an exciting VR journey.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. And I have to say, Sandeep, I am a R&D engineer at Telcordia Ericsson. So I have my battle scars as well through that. Could totally resonate with all the things you said. Thank you everyone for your time. We all have heard of the 4 vital signs: pulse, respiratory rate, body temperature, and body pressure. Today I'll be unveiling the 5th, the vital sign for well-being, a digital signature by Vital Start. Our goal and vision is huge. We want to be that well-being company using Web 3.0 technologies for all acute and chronic conditions, beginning with maternity, fertility, oncology, and many other areas, and we're just getting started. Everybody wants to hold the baby, but who holds the mom? That's the question we are addressing at Vital Start Health. This is an enormous problem. We've all heard of someone who's had a tough pregnancy or postpartum, but it's really hard to believe that 1 million mothers go through this each year, and less than half get any treatment at all. It costs $19,000 per mother and can take up to 5 years. 90% of those going through fertility treatments have stated to have depression. And there's a rise in complications in pregnancy, especially those coming out of fertility. 40% of them will have high-risk pregnancy due to hypertension risk factors, and 26% preterm births. We want to disrupt this completely. And I'm passionate about this because I've personally been through postpartum depression and come face to face with the indiscrepancies in the healthcare system. Hi everyone, I'm Kritika Parameshwaran. I'm a Wharton alum with deep expertise across business and technology. Our co-founder, Dr. John Cho, is a neonatal quality officer at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and an associate professor at Penn Medicine. We are a Penn company. We are also part of the Microsoft for Startups program and the University Science Center. And along with a stellar group of advisors and team, we are out to go after this $50 billion opportunity. Since the past year, we've won numerous awards: the Citizens Bank Small Business Champion Award, Health and Human Services Award, NJ Nurture Award from the First Lady's Office, and many others. We've also seen great traction. We've done some initial feasibility studies at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We're now doing a follow-on larger program study. We're talking to leading pharmaceuticals in the maternity, fertility space, as well as consumer healthcare space. And we're also seeing a lot of interest. Like recently, we demoed to JP Morgan's Morgan Health, which is the employee benefit arm of JP Morgan. So we've got a lot of traction. We've raised, and we are at $435,000 in funding, and we're now raising our seed round. This is our platform, Courage. It's funny that the word courage is there. I remember Sandeep mentioning that as well. And our platform is named Courage because it's a spoof on Brave Mind, which is where VR was used for veterans with PTSD. A lot of that is what we see when mothers go through trauma in the NICU experience or in high-risk pregnancy or even during fertility or birthing. So that's why we've named this Courage. And what we've done is we have 3 aspects to this program. We have built targeted content. We have patent pending on that. We have discovered an algorithm to build the right content that will provide those outcomes. We have a practitioner in the loop because we feel mothers and couples are very vulnerable as they go through this process. So we do have AI or analytics, but we want to add that human element in the loop. And we also have, an health equity focus. So we have affordable VR initially, and our platform also can be used with a high-end VR. So this is, a lot of it has been work that we have done and started with focus groups and learned, and now the platform has been launched. We have patients, coordinators, practitioners using the platform successfully. So the innovation in our platform is that we use cognitive behavioral therapy with virtual reality because of the visceral nature of VR, which is what we learned when we spoke to the VA as well in Philadelphia. That really drives those outcomes, and the American Psychological Association also recommends VR for mental health. And then we have taken this approach of an evidence-based platform, and hence we are a digital therapeutic. Do not need an FDA pathway because we have that human in the loop, but we do have metrics of all sorts on our platform. And last but not the least is a vital sign for well-being profile, which is that digital signature I was talking about, the longitudinal data on a patient as they go through this journey. And of course, you will be having multiple children, so you go through this in different times in your life and multiple times. And so we can help you based on your history and where you are in your care journey. So this is a quick video on the NICU use case. We also have other, the fertility side and maternal feedback. So here, some of this is from our website, just to tell you that we have self-guided care, coach-guided care, and psychotherapist-guided care. And we're looking at the complete continuum of care, right from preconception to birthing and postpartum. And also want to show you a little bit about how the experience on our platform is. And so here you can see a couple who's being told that their child, is going to need a NICU stay because there is some, genetic issues that they're going to be facing. And so the mother is already feeling that fear of birthing and postpartum. Fortunately, our platform Courage is at that health system, and our care coordinator will onboard them onto the platform, provide them with the right content, the activities that they need, and connect them to that practitioner for one-on-one support. And here you can see the vital sign for well-being profile that's been used by the practitioner to really understand what are those key trigger points and issues that the patient needs help with. And that's what we use. And you can see Jane Doe is using the VR headset, getting into a telehealth session with the practitioner. And here's a quick view of the psychoeducation piece that we provide along with the psychotherapy and coaching. You're seeing a video that the patient will also be seeing as part of their treatment. There's no sound.
Or visualizing, or even thinking that you are at the beach in a serene, quiet space of love, calm, and peace.
So that was just a quick taste of the kinds of things we have on our platform, and we can show you a demo to experience this further. So now I'm going to get into the business side. This is an enormous problem. We've always thought of maternal health and fertility as a niche, but it's not actually. 1 in 6 couples around the world has a fertility, infertile issues, and close to 1 million mothers in the US. And 20% of all mothers around the world have this issue. So it's a $50 billion problem globally, and we are a global company. Initially beginning in the US, which is a $19 billion problem. And we're looking to go initially with a beachhead of fertility, the NICU experience, and high-risk pregnancy. So this, some of this I've already told you, but when we actually began with a focus group at CHOP, just showing them YouTube versus the VR experience, and VR won hands down. Because the parents told us, wow, this makes me feel like I'm back at that experience with my child, and the visceral nature and the immersive aspect of VR was just phenomenal for learning and experiential practice. So we've taken that forward, and we did that initial feasibility study where we saw the trauma levels coming down for the parents, even without psychotherapy. So now we're taking this even further and doing a program study with this. And then we launched our platform, we raised that round, launched the platform, and we did a coaching pilot that was national. And what we figured is that both the clients and the practitioners loved the platform. The practitioners now had a way to provide visual cues to parents, and our clients felt that they finally found their moment of Zen, when they were able to go into this other world and experience that peace and calm that they were looking for. So this is the IP that we've gained in our platform. We have some provisional patterns, and we're going to be filing for all of these. We have a sequence editor that we've built to customize content, an algorithm for that targeted content, and of course, just the different multilingual content that we have. We have Spanish and English content as well. We really want to go after pharmaceuticals as an adjunct to pharmacotherapy. We're currently working to ink a deal with a large pharma. We're also looking, of course, at health systems, providers, and then in the future, self-insured employers and payers, of course. So that's where we are headed. And the key thing that we're bringing to the table is that client engagement, the stickiness, but also integrated care, where it's not just the physical outcomes, but also the mental health that's coming into play here. And then the analytics, the metrics-driven approach, which will help in value-based care and risk-based models. For the last one, we'll look at content and our telehealth with VR platform, and then content platform and practitioners, we can provide the complete managed service. The greatest thing is that we've now figured out reimbursements for this, and so this will be completely reimbursable, and that's what is opening the doors for us. We are currently working with a pharmaceutical company to look at how the reimbursement could drive that business value and profits across the board for them and us. So go-to-market strategy is, really going to use that reimbursements to fuel the growth. And we're working with a, major health system right now, trying to go through their IT process and work through what it means to get into that system. And then the pharmaceutical companies, and we want to keep an eye out for self-insured employers as well. So that's where we're headed. We're looking at $47 million by 2026. It is aggressive, but this is just based on a logarithmic curve that just starts at 100 right now, and not even considering the pharma deal. With that, we can go even faster once we have that big player working with us. And so here, I just want to tell you that, we've heard of so many mental health startups, right? There are folks that are looking just at the content, some doing remote patient monitoring, looking at the physiologic data and different devices. What separates us is that we're bringing the VR experiential practice, but we also bringing that human in the loop and the continuum of care. So we will be that one-stop shop platform that you begin right from your fertility preconception experience and go right to postpartum and repeat all over again. And we throw in the VR headset so that we can have that stickiness and keep growing the lifetime value with our patients. Enormous space. There's a lot of interest. We've had some pharmaceutical companies, that have reached out and said, apparently they're the largest consumer healthcare company spin out from a major pharma, but what they've been telling us is that, hey, we want to start with you at the prenatal and then get into menopause, like do the complete women's health aspect. So those are the kinds of ideas we're looking at, but initially we're working on fertility and then the NICU aspect as well. Exit potential for what we're doing is huge. So I know that Uvia Health, which is also in the maternity physical health space as well, now they're getting into mental health. Accenture just put money to VR, which has been around for quite some time. And Accenture is now saying that VR is the next thing in mental health and mental health treatment. So that's a way we want to ride as well. And then the last but not the least is Maven, which is the first unicorn in maternal and women's health. And I see us easily transitioning and exiting into one of these big companies, either into a pharmaceutical or one of these other players in the telebehavioral health space, or then in, just in women's health space. We're looking at $2 million now in our seed raise, and we have everything right now. This is the right timing. Telehealth is taken off. 80% of those taking mental health are using telehealth. We have a new modality. And it's not just the VR aspect, we have non-VR content and approaches as well on our platform. So what we have is truly unique, targeted, And with our stellar team, we feel we have the strategic potential and enormous opportunity that we're at. So we want your support and funding to become the vital sign for reproductive and maternal well-being. Thank you.
Opening it up for questions.
Yeah, hi. I have a two-part question.
Sure.
Number one, how do you work with health systems? Right? What's the journey and how do you add value to what they are already doing? And number two, in terms of competition, like Headspace or Calm and others, what is the niche differentiator if they're not? I see that. I think I'm really glad to see you are solving a real world problem. I think you will get a lot of traction if you succeed in what you're delivering. So that's my second part question. Yeah.
Great questions. So the first question that you had is, how do you work with health systems? We began a journey just with that. So we started with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, NICU, and I'm going to repeat the same thing. Start with some initial feasibility studies and innovation pilot, not have that death by pilot kind of a thing. So with an opportunity to convert that into a sale, which is what we're trying to do with CHOP. CHOP actually would be willing to invest in us. So what they're trying to say is, as soon as you have your first customer, we will be there, we'll be ready to invest in you. So that is the kind of value we bring, because there are not many players in the market, even Headspace, Calm, and all these others. They're very generic. Maternity, we think it's the same as all this, but it's not. So there are now studies at Mount Sinai, and Mom Genes is this phenomenal book that talks about not just the mental changes that are occurring to the woman and actually the dad as well, but it is genetic as well. So, the child actually is sending your genes to the parents, and that's why there are all these changes happening. I had a dog, we bought a dog during COVID, and I started having that same oxytocin release that I had with my kids, and that just blew me out, that how the hell is this happening? And that's when I started doing this research, and I landed on this Mom Genes work and the book. This is much more multifaceted than we think. It is not something that just regular meditation or something can do, because there are nuances. If you talk to psychologists, perinatal psychologists, they'll tell you that maternity and perinatal care is so unpredictable. It's extremely different each time the person goes through the journey, first of all. And it's also got many changes and many nuances based on the physical health aspect that you do not see in the traditional, sorts of cares and apps. And that's how we want to be different. Now, there are apps like Robot, out of Stanford and others, but they're very AI-based. And I feel strongly, because I've been through this, that you need some human intervention. Right now, when we talk to moms, they have a baby on their shoulder. There's no way you throw an AI app and tell them figure this out. It's not happening. This is a different field that needs a different approach. So that's what we're going to do. And of course, we don't want to drown in cost of sales. So keeping an eye on cost of sales as well.
Yeah, I was involved in the early stage startup called Pacifier in the mental health. But I think you have something different. So I'll put you in touch with one of the VCs who are raising a second fund, just focus on mental health. We will talk later. Thanks.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Kritika, is very impressive.
Thank you.
Clearly, everything goes well. Great. You're on IPO track. What keeps you awake at night? What worries you? Assuming you got $2 million today. What would worry you, obviously?
Definitely, I think it's something Sandeep said. How do we get to profitability really fast? Because the economic climate is not great for startups like me. And first of all, they put you in this bracket, maternal health. You're like that niche somewhere there. So I want to get to profitability. And one of the things why we want to work with this pharmaceutical is also because they're going to help us with that. I'm trying to see how we can do this smartly without needing an army of salespeople, because I can't afford that. So I want to work with partners, whether it's Ernst & Young, I'm trying to talk with them, or with this fertility pharma, who can bring that sales to the table for us, and we will do the platform, we will do the operations, we will do the customer support, we will drive that content that is needed. That's what I'm focusing on right now. That's one thing that keeps me up at night, is how fast can we move, how can we get to profitability. And the second thing, of course, is I'm not, blind to what's happening out there. So I'm keeping an eye on XR Health, on all these other companies. What is it they're bringing to the table that's different? Is it haptics? Like there's another company that I've been following that now has a way to provide smell. I love that. As a woman, I love that. So how can I do things like that? How can we, drive that edge in what's being done and be that novel, be that company that brings these things to market, things differently, things for that woman, things for that couple. That's what I want to do. That's my passion.
Great job on the pitch.
Thanks, Suresh.
So you talk about reimbursement, and you're working with a potentially big pharma, which is great, but they don't come up with reimbursement codes.
Yeah.
And so, have you identified certain
Yes.
CPT codes? And if so, does this fall into class 1 or class 2, or have you identified or thought that through that process yet?
Great question again. So we would be a class 2 device if we went down that route. I'm not planning to. I want to stick to being a telehealth platform, go faster into market. That's what I'm thinking right now, unless we're forced to do it because of the pharma. And reimbursements, working with a biller, all this is real. Also working with the fertility clinic who will test it for us, but found the reimbursement code. It's called remote therapeutic monitoring, which is what digital therapeutics are using now. And because we have that CBT angle, we are able to get that. And it's a lot of money. It's close to $3,000 over a quarter, which is what our program will be like. So that's what has opened up that pharma to sit up and say, wow, there is money to be made here. So that's the first thing I did, because we launched with B2C. I did not go into that, but I did do B2C, not successful. We got a paid customer, very expensive, $600 customer acquisition cost. So we just paused that completely, going just for B2B now. And as part of that, having the reimbursements, it's turning out to be a huge advantage. So I've spent a lot of energy, have got that billing system in space. Even the big pharma doesn't want to do billing. They're like, you do the billing, and we'll just go to the fertility clinic. So we are setting up that structure, the billing, the customer support, the operations, whatever it takes.
And one other question is, and just to clarify the technology side, is this content only, or is there a hardware component here, or is it off-the-shelf hardware?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So it's off-the-shelf hardware, just doing just-in-time right now. This, of course, is an Oculus. But our actual headsets that we provide to our clients as part of the package, it's a low-cost VR headset, so like $50. Just Amazon planning it right now. It's sending it to their doorstep. Later on, once we cross the 10,000 mark, we've spoken to them. They can distribute it, make it have a logo, all the good stuff. Not there yet. So just doing just in time. Do not want assets and inventory at all. Want to keep it software.
Hi. Very good presentation.
Thank you.
As long as the humanity is there, there will be maternity. Okay?
That's true.
As long as maternity is there, there's an issue. So my questions were like, how much would this technology, how much you can save for a patient for like a cycle? That's one thing really important. How much you can save comparing to a conventional approach. And you by yourself, you say that YouTubes and all those things are not working. I mean, individual attention is needed for these people. That's why I use the word humanity. Okay? You cannot replace humanity. That's number one. And number two, I know this technology is really good, and it's much better than watching a movie and all those things. My question is, will it be customized for the individual patient? And then do you have any patents on that for that? Because there will be like a XYZ can get a VR and can do this. If you could explain that. And by the way, it's very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Great questions again. And so the first thing is you spoke about, what are the advantages of doing this through VR, and how do you cut costs, or how do you cut time? That's exactly what we want to do. We want to disrupt. It takes 19,000 per mother right now and can take up to 5 years. So what we've been doing, and we spoke to the VA, the Veterans Organization in Philadelphia, And they told us that they see a gain in 3 weeks, which is unheard of in mental health. You usually need like 8 sessions or 16 sessions. That's sort of the norm. We're looking to do this in 6 sessions. That's the protocol we built, like in a month. We have that stress inoculation therapy, which is a new thing we're doing, and then the coaching to support. So that's one thing we're planning to do. And then the other question that you had was more on, can you repeat that again? Wait, I just blanked.
Is it customized?
Yes, yes. So that is that vital sign for well-being profile. So that's pattern building, which is that longitudinal scorecard that we've got on the patient. So every time there's an encounter, we are collecting assessments. And because we're part of Microsoft, we started using like Power Automate. So it's off the shelf. Any favorite assessment that practitioner has, we can just get it into a platform without needing a coach. That's the thing we make it really seamless, easy for people to use, and that is helping us get that data. So what practitioners are saying is that, wow, I've never seen mental health in a visual way. So we've figured a way to do that right now, to look at all these different mental health assessment tools, and similarly we'll add adherence, which is what the pharmaceuticals want. So then we'll be able to add other different tools like that to be able to see. That is our goal with the human in the loop, is to be able to customize the journey. So, we have parents who tell that we had a loss in our last pregnancy. Now at 35th, we can be able to deal with things that, are needed for that patient and their care journey. So that's our goal with the data.
Nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. So the question is, if I hear it right, you got funding from Penn, you got funding from Microsoft, and now you're opening up funding, public funding, right?
No, we didn't get Penn and Microsoft funding. That was angels. I raised a round, pre-seed round, and then the rest of the funding we got through grants. Actually, all these awards, all of them came with money. Yeah, so we was priced or then convertible note. Thank you so much. Oh, this is an honor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
By the way, we have a panel of judges sitting in front. That's where the question is coming from. And you heard several questions from this person. So he's Dr. Saravanan. That's why he's asking all humanity questions. As long as humanity is there, doctor also will be there. So I'm very happy. But of course, you're also open to questions. You can also ask questions. Thank
you. Who doesn't love politics? Our next pitch of the day is related to politics and community. Go politics. I'm thrilled to introduce a young and dynamic entrepreneur who is in the mission of revolutionizing the political landscape through the power of technology. He is the founder of Go Politics, a startup that's changing the game when it comes to political engagement. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Yuvraj.
Go Politics.
Okay, vanakkam makkale. So today I'm going to talk about a digital civic engagement platform. Okay, a couple of years ago when I was in India, I think I did almost 3 or 4 times voting. So every time I go for electing anybody, like always I ended up with a question, like first of all, okay. Always I wonder, like, what is my district? First of all, who represent my district? Like. just learning at the last minute, sorry. So I always wonder, right, like who the politician is, what is their ideology, on what basis I should, select these politicians. What is their, the political organization ideology? I mean, always have a lot of questions, but still we vote for somebody on a biased way, right? To the leader that some image we have. Always I thought, okay, it's just me. So I talked to many of my friends, family members, pretty much most of the people that are in similar situation, like everybody say, hey, we just vote because we like this person, because their ideology, like we just align with it. But nobody, at least the community I engaged at the level, nobody said, we vote for this particular person because they do this for the economy or a society, or they support this legislation that changed the life of many. So nobody thinks in that way. Everybody does the voting just with a biased nature. So that's from the people aspect, right? Like on the other side, think about the local media. Local media, like any regional media, like news channel or somebody, they always have a problem with connecting to the local people. Like people always like an exciting news, so they always go for national media, right? So the local media on one side, they always struggle to raise a fund, so they have a lot of problems. And also the local representatives. So when I talk about the local representatives, I mean the township level, the district attorneys, or any local communities, right? The police station, library, anything that's very local to any community, even in US. So they have a tough time in reaching to the people. Even recently in the midterm election, we have seen a lot of people, they just post that a banner on the roadsides, like they not even have a fund to reach to the local community. And one more problem we have noticed is like the people are always skeptical about politicians, right? Like whenever any politician comes, like they just talk. I mean, the lack of essence, they just blame some other personal thing, or politicians pretty much go on a blame game factor rather touching the real issues or anything, right? So this over a period of time create a skepticism among the people. So we do see a lot of problems around the political or a government entity, right? So then I got into a realization state, like why things are happening this way, because the political nature is the very fundamental in any democracy, right? But we see a lot of problems around that area. Not many people are willing to talk about that subject itself, right? So I started thinking about that area. Then we figured out, okay, so there's a reduced political participation among the youth. So the survey, there is a survey done by the Harvard youth polling. So they said, so the agreement with the youth saying, hey, my participation in the voting system, it's not going to make any improvement. So the motivation factor basically going down. So the agreement on this one, so the involvement, it's like really going up year on year. Like the motivation among the people are going very down. Like, and also the other problem, the same Sensex says among the people, the agreement on my vote will make no real difference in the economic, their feeling. So that also going up. So pretty much day by day, like the lack of confidence of the people, it's going up. And also, even in the digital economy, we don't have any unified platform to learn politics or anything around the society, the political subjects. Also, the lack of civic engagement platform. So we have a lot of social media platform today, but it's all in the broader economy. They talk about the different areas, but there is no platform to connect a very civic, local community-driven things. And also the data. On the other side, the politicians and the political organization, right, whether it's a local or a central, they do have data. They try to connect with the people, but they don't have any accurate data to directly talk to their audience, the target audience. And also the lack of civic awareness. And also more problems we have, right? The reduced confidence in the existing political system. Pretty much there is another survey done by the Annensberg Civic Education. They said almost half of the population in America, they don't know what are the three branches of the government also. So the economy is that much bad. The civic knowledge is that much bad. Still we vote all people, and then still they drive the society. And also the lack of fund and focus for the local representatives. Like the popular political able to raise almost $2 billion in a fundraising in the previous election. The GOP, Trump, he was able to raise almost 900 million, whereas the other parties, like the third parties, they did just 3 million. So it's a huge gap for the other parties to raise the fund to connect to the people. So we are seeing the problems, all the stuff, right? So there's a motivation between myself, like why we want to get into something new area. So the civic engagement, right? The civic engagement is the very pillar essence in any democracy. We know like the knowledgeable people who has more knowledge on the civic, on the government or any political spectrum, they are very well able to understand the social issues rather than people having a very less knowledge political